Tucky, Joe, and Little Heart by Patricia Polacco. I'm sharing this book today because a dear friend of mine has a birthday today, and he reminds me of Tucky Joe. Both are decorated war veterans with brave and courageous hearts. Happy birthday. I was born in Allen, Kentucky on October 3rd, 1924. I grew up like any backcountry boy in Kentucky, tougher than last year's jerky and faster than a scared jackrabbit. I could whittle and carve just about any kind of stick or wood, and I could sneak up on just about anything. Came right handy for hunting. My pa taught me how to use a shotgun when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. By my 12th birthday, I was known in 3 counties for sharpshooting. I could hit the eye out of a gnat from a furlong away, whilst I was on a dead run, dodging a wild boar hog. I always took first prize over at the county fair for fancy shooting. I even caught the eye of the sweetest little old gal, Freda Hall, from over Prestonburg way. I knew when I was old enough, I was going to spark her. When I was 10 or so, we heard all about the war that broke out in Europe and that feller Hitler. Then the paper said Pearl Harbor was bombed and we were at war with Japan in the Pacific. I told my ma that I was fixing to enlist in the army and go fight for my country. The onlyest thing was, I wasn't old enough to join up. Even though I had promised my heart to Freda, I had to go. So soon enough, my folks lied me older when I went to sign up. Sure enough, the Army took me that very day. After my basic training, I was assigned to the 6th Infantry, Company G, 20th Division. Then we were deployed to the Pacific Theater on the biggest ship I ever saw. I was miserable sick the whole way. The onlyest boat I ever seen was a river raft back home on Hominy Creek. Being the youngest recruit on that there ship, almost everyone aboard was calling me that kid from Kentucky, or just the kid. At first, I didn't like them a-saying that, but after I got to show 'em how good I was with a rifle, and our sergeant picked me for special training as a marksman and for heavy ordnance, explosives, they all looked up to me. Later, I became part of a very special unit that went into the jungle to seek and destroy machine gun nests and enemy outposts. Then, the Kentucky Kid moniker became a badge of honor. I could hardly wait to land and get into the thick of fighting. Almost as soon as we landed, we were thrown into the worst of the conflict. I had never seen so much killing and suffering. Our division was sent to so many places to fight that everything started blurring together. My outfit was known as the Sightseeing 6th because we held the record for the most consecutive days of continuous combat. We fought tooth and nail, cheek to jowl. We were in Milne Bay, then Maffin Bay, then Lone Tree Hill, New Guinea, Munoz, and finally, we were on our way to Luzon in the Philippines. We had been battling for 219 days straight. By the time we got to Luzon, I was blind tired. So tuckered I could hardly put one foot in front of the other. I was plumb weary of the jungle. It was hot, steamy, stinking, and thick. And the bugs. I never seen so many bugs. There was snakes, lizards, and big spiders too. It rained every day. The ground was always damp and mushy. Our feet never got dry. To think I wanted in on all this fighting? Now I knew there ain't no glory in war. But I was in the Army, and it was up to me to take a stand and fight for my country. But at night, I'd have dreams about my ma and her bacon powder biscuits. I could even smell the pine boards in our house. I could see the green grass in our holler. Oh, how I wanted to be back home with my ma and my kin. My unit's mission on Luzon was to clear the jungle to build an airstrip and also to level the land to bivouac and pitch our tents for an outpost. So just about every day I was swinging a machete at thick underbrush and slashing vines. One day I stopped for a swig of water from my canteen. The bugs were swarming all around me. Some of them were as big as my hand. All of them were stinging me. I was being eaten alive. I was a scratching fool. I had welts all over every inch of my skin. Some of them burned and hurt like bites from fire ants back home. Then I heard rushing water. I pulled back the underbrush and saw a small native village just yonder from me at the bend in a river. I saw village women standing knee-deep in the river, trying to catch fish with their bare hands. Then, sudden-like, I could feel someone behind me. I turned real fast and drew up my rifle. Standing there, like something out of a dream, was a scrawny little old girl. She wasn't any bigger than a minute and looked weak as a fawn deer. I dropped to my knees and drank her in. Somehow, looking at that innocent, tiny girl gave me a peace that I hadn't felt in a long time. She reached out and touched one of the swollen bug bites on my arm. Then she bent down and plucked a plump leaf from a ground-hugging plant. She broke it in half and squeezed the goo that was oozing out of it on the bite. It was instant, blessed relief. So's both of us picked them leaves and put the medicine that came from them on all of my bites. Thank you, little angel, I whispered. She just blinked at me, didn't smile, didn't say nothing, just looked at me with those beautiful haunted eyes. My name's Kentucky John, I said as I pointed to myself. She cocked her head to one side. Kentucky Johnny, I said, louder. She just stared at me. I got something you'll like, I said, as I pulled a chocolate block from my K-rations. I held it out to her. I knew she wanted it real bad, but she held back till I put it in her tiny little hand. Then she stuffed the whole block into her mouth. I thought she'd choke on it. She chewed hungrily at it, barely taking breaths to swallow. Then both of us just sat there for the longest time. It made me feel calm and less homesick to be there with her. Wonder what your name is, I muttered. Then I noticed a small birthmark on her arm. It was shaped just like a perfect small heart. Little heart, I sang out. That's what I'm a-calling you, I whispered to her. Tucky Joe, she said suddenly as she pointed at me. Tucky Joe, Tucky Joe, Tucky Joe, she sang as she turned and ran back to the jungle. I gathered up as many of them leaves as I could to take back to camp with me.